A very good afternoon, dear students. I hope you all are safe at your place. I, Professor Sonal Agrawal, welcome you all on the digital platform of Agrawal Vidya Vihar English Medium College. This is a lecture for the subject Banking Law and Practice Paper 2. As you all know that we have started with our unit number 4, that is the bank guarantee. In that we have discussed the meaning of the bank guarantee, that according to the section number 126 of the Indian Contract Act, that guarantee is a contract to perform the promise or discharge the liability of the third person in case of default. Then we have discussed the parties. The three parties are involved, that is the creditor, principal debtor, and the guarantor. Creditor is the person who lends the money, principal debtor is the person who asks for the loan, and the guarantor is the third party who gave the promise to pay the amount in case of default in behalf of the principal debtor. The guarantor is also known as the surety and also known as the secondary debtor. Then we discuss the types of the guarantee, that according to the number of transactions, guarantee is bifurcated into two categories, that is the specific guarantee and continue guarantee. Specific guarantee for a single transactions and the continue guarantee is for a number of transactions. Then we have discussed about the rights of the guarantors, that right to revoke the continue guarantee, rights of the subrogations, right to claim indemnity, right to know the extent of the liability, and right against the co-sureties. Clear? We have discussed this thing, and after that, we have discussed the discharge of the surety, or it is popularly known as the end of the guarantee. In your examination, the question will ask as an end of guarantee. In that, we discussed these 6 points. That is, in case of death of the surety, the guarantee comes to an end automatically. Discharge on variation in terms. If any terms and condition changed by the banker in contract without the consideration of the guarantor, then guarantee comes to an end automatically. Then all we discuss that the guarantee discharge by release of the principal debtor because of any reason. If the principal debtor release from the liability, then the secondary debtor, who is the guarantor, automatically release from the liability. And the next point we discuss is discharge by compositions. Here, any terms and conditions of the contracts. Clear composition. Suppose the banks go amalgamate with any other another banks, bifurcation in the departments, merger with another bank. So, if any these types of composition has taken place without awareness of the customer, means here customer means guarantor, without the awareness to the guarantor, in that case this composition makes the guarantee comes to an end automatically. And discharged by creditors acts or omissions. Clear? Creditor acts means creditor, here creditor means a banker. Clear? Banker done something that is known in the favor of the interest of the guarantor, or banker forgot to perform any duty which is in the favor of the guarantor, that all these conditions makes the guarantee comes to an end. And last point is the loss of security, that if the part of the security or the full security which is given to the banker, clear, at that as a security against the loan, if the banker lost any security or the part of the security, in that case the guarantor is not liable to pay the amount of the security which is lost by the banker. In that situation, for that amount the guarantee comes to an end automatically. Then we discuss the rights of creditor against the surety, that the creditor is having this all the rights. First thing, to demand the payment. Second thing, to the exercise the right of general reliance. Third right is to recover the dues from the estate of the insolvent sureties also. And the last is to take the liberty to proceed against any one of the surety if there are more than one person as a guarantor. Now today in this lecture we are going to start the topic, that is the advantages of guarantee. So what are the advantages if the banker grants the loan against the guarantee or against the promise of the third party? So the first advantage is it is easier security as compared to the mortgage of property, and easy to obtain. As we discussed that this is a easier one. Why it is a easier one? Because if the person is ready to take the guarantee of any principal debtor, then first thing, no need to find out the market value of the property. Why? Because it is for a definite amount. The amount is fixed. It is not going to change because of any reason. What the banker has to do, just the banker has to check the financial position of the guarantor. Clear? So to find out the market value of property and to find out the financial position of the guarantor, in between these two, the second option is most easier. Clear? To find out the financial position of a guarantor, how the person can find out, how the banker can find out the financial position, of course from the property which is registered with the name of the guarantor and the income statement of the guarantor. Clear? So with this help, the banker can easily find out the financial position or the capability of the guarantor. So it is easier way rather than to find out the market value of the security that kept as a market value of any asset that kept as a security. So of course, yes, it is easier and easy to obtain also. How it is easy to obtain? Just the banker has to what the banker has to do, what the just banker has to take the signature of the guarantor on the contract of guarantee. So it is easier way to obtain also. The second advantages of guarantee is the formalities that connected. Taking the security simple, as I said, the formalities are simple. Why it is simple? Because just the guarantor has to take the signature of the guarantor on the contract of guarantee. The bank usually have the standard form and the various clauses therein which gives the maximum protection to the lender. Clear now? Why formalities are simple? First thing, just the signature are required after checking the financial position. And as we discussed that to find out the market value of any assets and to check the financial position of the guarantor, in between in these two options, the second option is to find out the financial position is a guarantor is a easier one. And second thing, what the banker has to do, banker just require the signature of the guarantor on the contract of guarantee. And the third thing is that no need to prepare a separate contract of guarantee for a separate guarantor. There is a standard form, there is a standard contract of guarantee that is available for all the guarantors. But in case of security of assets, suppose you as a customer wants to give the security of any assets, like you wants to take a loan against the your house, security of your house or the security of your jewelry. So for that, the banker has to prepare a separate contract for you as a customer. But here, if the guarantee point of view is there, if the guarantee is there as a security, so no need to prepare a separate contract according to the customer. A standard contract of guarantee is available for all the customer, where various clauses are there that will give the maximum protection to the lender. So of course the work will be easier, the formalities will be easier because standard form is already available. Clear? After checking the financial position, just the banker require the signature on that standard form or on that standard contract of guarantee. No need to prepare the separate contract for each of the customer, for each of the guarantor. So what is the next advantages of guarantee is that the sign can be easily obtained from the guarantor on the form by the bank, and there is no need of preparing deed. Clear? No deed is required. It means the contract between these two parties. Clear? That guarantee form is the deed itself. Clear? The guarantee form that the person has signed, that guarantee form is worked as a deed. It works as a contract, so no need of separate preparing a contract. Here, that guarantee form is performing the duty of contract here. So just the banker has to take the signature of the guarantor and no need to prepare the separate deed. But in case of security given in any other form like house or gold, so here the banker has to prepare two things. The first paper is regarding the security which is given assets which is given as a security. For that, the banker has to prepare the documents, and the second, the banker has to prepare the contract for that particular person. So the if the security is the assets, any physical assets, then the banker has to prepare these two documents. But if the security is the guarantee of the third party, promise given by the third party, in that situation just the banker has to take the signature of guarantor on the guarantee form, and that form itself work as a deed. There no need to prepare a separate deed. The guarantor is bound to fulfill the promise. The next advantages is that the banker may call the guarantor and tell him about the default of the debtor. What the banker has to do in case of default, the banker the banker has to call to the guarantor and give the information about the default of the debtor, and the banker can ask the payment to the guarantor from the guarantor. But in case of suppose the physical security is given to the banker, suppose you have taken a loan against the security of your house. So in case of default, the selling procedure, how the banker can get the amount of the loan with interest, of course the banker will sell the property to recover the loan amount with interest, and this procedure requires some of the time. Clear? As it is a physical security, to seal the security in the market, it requires some times. But in case of the guarantee as a security, what the banker has to do, the banker has to just call a guarantor and tell him about the default of the debtor, tell him the various reasons of the default, and of course, easily the bankers can get the amount of the loan. So no lengthy procedure is there in case of default. Clear? If default is there, just the banker has to call to the guarantor. The next advantage is by a simple court action, the guarantee can be enforced. Clear? Now the question arises, in case of default. Clear? Which action the banker has to take? As we discussed that the banker has to call to the guarantor. Just call means it is not a phone call. Clear? Call means it is a call via using a legal paper. And what is this legal paper? So this legal paper is the order of the court. So what the banker has to do? Banker has just simply file the claim in the court, and of course the banker is get the authority to exercise the right of the lien, or the exercise the right of the lender which the banker is having in case of the guarantee as a security. So this is a simple procedure, just the banker has to file this situation in court. And next is, in case of default, a banker and the guarantor both are going to pressurize the borrower to repay the amount. Why? As we discussed the principle of subrogation. In case of default, the banker is going to collect the amount from the guarantor. Of course, why? Because the guarantor is a third party who gave the promise that in case of default, the guarantor will pay the amount in behalf of the customer or in behalf of the borrower. So, of course, yes, the banker will get the amount from the guarantor, but now the guarantor is also having the right to recover the amount from the borrower. So, in case of default, the banker will also pressurize the borrower to repay the amount, and if the borrower is not able to pay the banker, then secondly the guarantor is going to pressurize the borrower to pay the amount. Means here the pressure made by two parties, not only single party. Here pressure made by the banker also and pressure made by the guarantor also. So the chances of recovery may increase from the borrower. Why? Because after paying the amount of the default, or after paying the amount which is due to the banker, now the guarantor become the creditor of the borrower, as we discussed in the principle of subrogation. Now the borrower, who was the principal debtor of the banker, now he become the principal debtor of the guarantor. So in that situation, both the parties are going to pressurize the borrower to pay the amount. The next advantage is that the value of the security is fixed and not affected by any market conditions. Now here value of security means the promise which is given by the guarantor. So now this is fixed. Clear? Not any market effect or not any market condition, whether it is inflation or whether it is deflation in the market, not any market fluctuation is going to affect the price of the security. Here the security is fixed. Suppose a guarantor has given a guarantee for the maximum amount of 10 lakh rupees. So it is fixed 10 lakh rupees. Yeah, it is not going to affect whether it is there is a boom period in the market or whether there is a recession in the market. Where the value of the security is fixed for 10 lakh rupees. But suppose if a loan taken against the physical security like home, clear to the, of course the market value of home, the market value of the gold is going to affect because of the market fluctuations, price fluctuation in the market. So here no need to worry about the price fluctuation or the market conditions. The value of the security remains the same if security is the guarantee. The next advantage is the banker is not burdened with any positive obligation such as the storage, maintenance, and extras, as in case of tangible securities. Suppose you have taken a loan in exchange of the security of your house. So what you are going to do, you are going to submit, you are going to transfer the possession of your property papers, your house paper with the banker, and it is the obligation of the banker to keep this property paper safe. And suppose if you have taken the loan against the security of your jewelries, gold loan, in that situation, the banker is in obligation to keep your jewelry as a security, as a safe position. If the banker lost the security or if any damage occur to the security or the property papers, In that situation, according to the Bailment Act, the banker who has to work as a bailee and he is liable to compensate you the loss. Clear? But here, as we discussed, that the guarantee is the security, the promise which is given by the third party is the security. In that situation, the banker is not burdened with any positive obligations like storage expenses, maintenance expenses, the burden to keep the property papers or the asset as a safe position in a safe position. So these all types of burdens are not there. Clear? These all types of burdens are there in case of the tangible securities, but here the promise it is a intangible securities and no need to store these types of security, no need to do the maintenance expenses, no need to worry about this all. So of course, this is an advantages to the banker. So these all are the advantages which the banker can avail if the banker grant the loan on the security of the promise which is given by the third party, or you can say on the security of the guarantee. Clear? So these all are the advantages can be enjoyed by the banker. Now, if there are so many advantages, so of course, as we discussed that there are always two sides of the coin. So of course, there are disadvantages also. So what are the disadvantages? So let's discuss with the topic that is the disadvantages of the guarantee. So first disadvantages is if the guarantor's property is destroyed or sold during the period of the contract and the borrower also fails to pay the debt, then in this case it is very difficult to recover the amount from both the parties. As we discussed that before granting the loan, what the banker can do, the banker can check the financial position of the guarantor, that whether the guarantor is capable to pay the loan amount or not. So how to check? Of course, the banker is going to check the property which is registered with the name of the guarantor and of course the income statement of the guarantor. But suppose there are 4 to 5 properties which are registered with the name of the guarantor and loan taken for the 2 or 3 years. And during this time period, if guarantor sold the properties or because of any reason, suppose fire burned in the godown or in the factory of the guarantor and all the property of the factory is destroyed, in that situation, what the banker will do? How to recover the amount? And if suppose the principal debtor is also fails to pay the principal debtor because of suppose the principal debtor become insolvent. Clear? In the situation, the security is nullified. Why? Because the guarantor's property is destroyed or sold. So in that case, both the parties are not able to pay the loan amount to the banker. Why? Principal debtor become insolvent or because of any reason he fails to pay the debt amount. And the second, that the guarantor's property is also destroyed or sold during the period. So how to recover the amount? Both the parties are not able to pay the amount to the banker. So at that time, it become very, very difficult to recover the amount from both the parties. But if the loan is granted against any tangible securities, in that situation, the same example of the house property or the gold loan, in that situation, the possession of the property is with the banker. So there is no chances of the bad debt. But here, of course, the chances of the bad debt is very high in that circumstances. The second disadvantage is that sometimes if the banks changes the constitution, then the guarantee is terminated. As we also discussed before that in the topic of end of guarantee. If any terms and conditions or any constitutions of the contract between the between the banker and customer is changed without the consent of the guarantor, without the taking permission of from the guarantor, or the guarantor is not agree on the constitutions. So in that situations, the guarantee comes to an end automatically, and now the guarantor is not liable to pay the amount. So of course, again, this is a disadvantage to the banker. If this is so, if any constitution is changed by the banker because of any reason, so the value of the security, that is the guarantee, is going to nullify. Why? Because guarantee is terminated. So in case of default, it will be very difficult to recover the amount. Suppose any terms and conditions like before the payment of the premium is done monthly, but after changing the constitution, now the bank person has to pay the premium quarterly. But the guarantor is not agreed on that constitutions. Clear? So if in that situation, the guarantor may terminate the contract of guarantee according to the you can say the technical terms. The third is the sometimes the loan is not returned and the bank claim in the court against the guarantor, but it is rejected on the technical ground. Again, the same reason that I said, that sometimes what happen that principal debtor become the defaultee, and as we seen in the advantages that to claim against the guarantor, what the banker has to do, the banker has to file a case in the court against the guarantor. But sometimes it happen that court will reject that case because of any technical ground. So sometimes this technical problem may hurdle to recover the loan amount from the guarantor. So this is the disadvantages. The next one is about in case of amalgamation with other banks, the guarantee is terminated, as we discussed in the same topic, that is the end of guarantee. If any amalgamations or a merger happen with any other bank, in that situation, what the amalgamation means, two banks are going to join with the new name. In that situation, the guarantee that is made in the old bank, suppose for example the bank X and banks Y is going to amalgamate it with the new name is bank Z. In that situation, the guarantee which is done in the with the not Mr. with the bank X, that is automatically terminated. Why? Because now there is a no bank existing in the market with the name of bank X. Clear? So if the no bank is existed in the market with the same name, so automatically the guarantee comes to an end. So in that situation, if bank is amalgamated with any other bank, so it is very difficult to recover the amount. Why? Because there is a no guarantee, there is a no security. According to the technical ground, the guarantee is terminated. So now how to recover the amount? If the principal debtor become insolvent, so the banker is not having any right to claim against the guarantor. Why? Because on the basis of a technical ground like amalgamation and the changes in constitutions, this also the banker lost the right to claim in against the guarantor. So this is again the disadvantages. The next disadvantages is the value of the security, which is depends on the financial solvency of the guarantor. So for instance, the insolvency of the guarantor will nullify the issue of the security, as we discussed that in case of default of the principal debtor, the guarantor is the person who is responsible to pay or who is liable to pay the loan amount with interest. And how to check the capacity of a guarantor? For the financial solvency, and financial solvency may be checked with the help of the property which is registered with the name of the guarantor and the income statement of that person. Just we discussed on the first point, if the property is destroyed or sold, so of course the property which is registered with the name of the person with the name of the guarantor is nullified. Second, financial position with the help of this income statement. Suppose because of any reason the loss is there in the company of the guarantor, so of course there is a no property which is registered with the name of the person. Of course the income statement shows the loss for the current financial year, so now the guarantor is also facing the financial insolvency position. So the value of the security which is given by the guarantor, that we have taken example of 10 lakh rupees, so that security is nullified. Now then the value of the security is zero. Clear? So this is happen. This is possible only if the banker has granted the loan on the basis of guarantee or on the basis of the promise. If the banker grants the loan on the basis of any physical security, so the value of security cannot be nullified in any case or in any situation. So this is the disadvantages which available or which is possible only and only in case of the loan which is granted on the basis of guarantee. If the loans are granted on the basis of physical security, then this point cannot be possible. So again, this is a big disadvantages to the banker. The next disadvantages is the liability of the guarantor must be carefully defined, or else he may escape from the liability under the pretext of the several clauses. Of course, as we discussed, the technical terms are very difficult in this case. The banker has to be very careful on the technical grounds. Why? Because this is so, the first thing, if any constitutions are changed, so on the basis of technical ground, the guarantor may be escape from the liability. If any technical grounds are not be carefully examined by the banker, so the court may also reject the case. If amalgamation is done with any other bank, a merger is done it with any another bank, so on this technical ground the guarantee comes to an end. And the next possibility is that suppose the banker cannot exercise the right carefully on the basis of technical ground, or cannot define on the paper. So this technical ground, with the help of this technical reason, the guarantor may escape from the liability. Clear? Suppose the time period or the amount of the security must be very carefully examined, or the types of the guarantee, this all things must be very carefully observed by the banker. Why? Because the liability of the guarantor, if not carefully defined on the papers. Yeah, so on the help of, suppose the without on the in behalf of the continued guarantee, the banker just return the guarantee word in the documents of the paper, and that is all about the continued guarantee. But the banker forgot to write the word continue in the documents. So with this help, with the help of this technical error, it may be the typing error, or it may be the printing error. So because of this of error, the guarantor may escape from the liability. So the banker must be very careful about these technical terms. This is all about the disadvantages of the guarantee. This is the end of the topic. What we did in today's lecture. In today's lecture, we have discussed about the advantages and disadvantages of the guarantee. That first advantages is to the banker that it is easier security as compared to the physical security, and it is very easy to obtain. The second advantage is that the formality are connected with the security are very simple. Why? Because no need to prepare the separate contract for all. No need to prepare a separate contract of guarantee for all. A standard form is available. Various clauses already written which are similar for all the guarantors, and that clause will provide the maximum protection to the lender. The next advantage is that the sign can be obtained very easily from the guarantor on the form that is prepared by the bank, and there is no need of separate preparing deed. Why? Because the form or the guarantee form which is prepared by the bank, it is working as a deed. It is working as a contract between the banker and guarantor. The next advantage is the banker may call the guarantor and tell him about the default of the debtor. Now call means it is a call with the help of legal papers. So how to get this legal paper? So the banker just simply has to file a case in the court against the guarantor, and the banker can use his rights. The next is, it is in case of default, a banker and the guarantor both are going to pressurize the person who is the principal debtor to repay the loan amount. Why? Because as the principle of subrogation says, after paying the liability in behalf of the debtor to the banker, the guarantor become the creditor of the person, and now the principal debtor who was the debtor of the banker will become the principal debtor of the guarantor. Means both the parties are going to pressurize the person to pay the loan amount. Of course, the chances of recovery will be increased. The next is the value of the security is fixed, and it is not going to affect with the by any market condition or any market fluctuations, whether there is a recession, boom period, price fluctuations. This all things is not going to affect the security. Why? Because here security is not the tangible security, but here the security is the promise which is given by the third party. Next, the banker is not burdened with any physical positive obligation such like as the storage or the maintenance. Why? Because again the same reason that the security is not of the tangible securities, but here the security is the promise of the third party. So as you all know that there are two sides of a coin, so there are disadvantages for the guarantee also. The first disadvantages is if the guarantor's property is destroyed or sold during the period of the contract, and the principal debtor is also become the insolvent person or also not able to pay the loan amount. So now both the parties, first is the principal debtor and second is guarantor, both are not able to pay the loan amount. So it become very difficult to recover the amount from both the parties. Sometimes because of changes in the any terms and condition or any constitutions in the bank. So in that situation, as we discussed in the topic end of guarantee in detail, that the guarantee comes to an end, a guarantee is terminated automatically. Sometimes the loan is not returned and the claim which is done by the banker in the court against the guarantor is rejected on the basis of some technical grounds. So it is necessary requirement that the banker must be technical sound person. Why? Because if any technical error happens, then the court may reject the case which is registered against the guarantor. The next, in case of amalgamations, as we just discussed the second point, this is similar of the second point that the constitutions are changed. Here the reason of the constitution changes is the amalgamation. If amalgamation happens, means the bank is not exist in the market with the same name. The name of the bank is changed. So the guarantee which is done with the name of the any particular bank is comes to an end automatically. The next disadvantages is the value of security. Of course, it depends on the financial solvency of the guarantor, and if the guarantor becomes insolvent person, so the value of the security will be zero. The next is that the liability of a guarantor must be very carefully defined and should be written on the documents of the contract very clearly, because on the with the help of any technical error, the guarantor may escape from the liability on the pretext of very several clauses that are written on the that are written on the contract of guarantor. As we discussed that no separate guarantee paper is prepared for each of the guarantor. What the banker is going to do? Banker is going to use a standard form for all the guarantors. So sometimes certain special clauses are there which is applicable to certain guarantors. It is not applicable of all the guarantors. So in that situation, if the banker is going to use that standard form, so on the basis of this, why? Because certain clauses are not written which is applicable on that guarantor only. So with the help of this, the guarantor may escape from the liability. So this standard form may be advantages also, but it is maybe disadvantages also sometimes. So these all are the disadvantages if the banker is going to grant the loan on the basis of the promise which is given by the third parties. So this is end for today. In the next lecture, we are going to discuss the precautions that to be observed in taking guarantee, or if you are a banker and you are going to grant the loan on the basis of guarantee, as we discussed that there are several disadvantages. Clear? So how to take precautions to avoid these types of disadvantages. So if you are taking some of the precautions as a banker, you can avoid these types of disadvantages at the some of the level. So which are these precautions we are going to discuss in the next lecture. Till then, stay home, stay safe, start learning. As I always says that the learning is a continuous process and no learning can be take place without self-learning. So self-learning is very important part. So start learning. Have a happy day and we are going to meet in next lecture. Thank you.